Have you ever received a call from an unknown number in the dead of night? The mere thought sends a shiver down our spines, doesn't it? It's that uncanny mix of curiosity and fear. The unknown caller on the other side of the line, hidden in anonymity, reaching out to us from the shadows of the digital world. This is a realm where our usual senses fail us. We can't see the caller, can't touch them, can't gauge their intentions from their body language. All we have is their voice, distorted by the electronic medium, and sometimes not even that. Just the silent hum of an open line, the white noise of an empty connection. Now imagine that these calls are not just random misdials or innocent pranks, but something much, much more sinister. That's the world we're about to enter. A world where the ringing of a phone can be the overture to a symphony of fear. We're about to share 5 stories, 5 tales of terror that began with a simple, unassuming ring from an unidentified number. Each of these stories is unique in its own chilling way, yet they all share one common thread: the eerie, unsettling mystery of the no-caller ID. We're going to meet people who, like you and me, once thought that a call from an unknown number was nothing more than a minor annoyance. But they soon found out how wrong they were. We're going to hear their stories, experience their fear, and hopefully learn from their mistakes. However, we won't reveal too much just yet. After all, the essence of a good horror story lies in the tension of the unknown, the slow, creeping realization of the truth that lies just beyond our perception. So are you ready to venture into the shadowy corners of the digital realm, where every ring of the phone could be a harbinger of horror? Let's delve into these unknown territories together, shall we? Our first tale starts with a late-night call, a voice submerged in static. Imagine, if you will, being startled from a deep sleep by the shrill ring of your phone. You groggily reach over, the clock on your nightstand reading 2 in the morning. The caller ID on your screen is blank, an ominous no-caller ID displayed in bold text. A sense of unease washes over you, but curiosity compels you to answer. On the other end is a voice, barely discernible through the crackling static. It's a man, his words cryptic and disjointed. He repeats a sequence of numbers, his tone urgent, desperate even. The meaning of his message is lost on you, but his apparent distress leaves a chill running down your spine. Days turn into nights, and each night brings with it another call. The same voice, the same sequence of numbers. Your attempts to trace the call are fruitless, the source remaining as elusive as the meaning behind the cryptic messages. Sleep becomes elusive, fear and anticipation coloring your once peaceful nights. Then one evening, the call takes a sinister turn. The voice, previously desperate, now carries a note of malice. The numbers are replaced by a threat, a promise of a visit. Your blood runs cold, fear gripping you in a vice-like hold. You report the calls to the local authorities, but without a traceable source, they're left as clueless and helpless as you are. The calls continue, each one escalating in its level of threat and malice. Your home, once a sanctuary, now feels like a trap. A cage you're locked in with an unseen predator circling outside. The tale concludes on a chilling note. The final call, a cold, calculated whisper of the visit that's to come. The voice, once drowned in static, is now crystal clear, the threat tangible and all too real. The last thing you hear before the line goes dead is the sound of your own front door creaking open. A chilling start, wouldn't you agree? But hold on, the night is still young. Our second tale brings us to a quiet suburb, where a family's peace is shattered by an ominous call. In a town where life moves at a steady pace and harmony is the status quo, the tranquility is broken by an unforeseen presence. A family nestled in the heart of this suburb finds themselves in the grip of an uninvited terror. A terror that, unlike a monster under the bed or a ghost in the attic, hides in plain sight behind the veil of an unknown number. It starts with a single call, a voice distorted and unrecognizable, uttering threats that send chills down the spine. The voice is cold, emotionless, and the words it speaks are laced with malice. The family, once cocooned in their suburban bliss, now finds their sanctuary invaded by an invisible menace. The calls persist. Day turns into night and night into day, yet the ringing of the phone becomes a constant, a haunting melody that echoes through their once peaceful home. The family's fear evolves into paranoia. Every ring ingrains a deeper sense of dread. The kids are sent to their grandparents, their laughter replaced by a deafening silence that amplifies the terror. The parents, once pillars of strength, now crumble under the weight of uncertainty. Their minds are plagued with questions. Who is this caller? What do they want? And most importantly, how did they pierce the veil of their privacy? The police are called, but their efforts to trace the calls prove futile. The number remains unknown, the caller a phantom in the wires. The family's home, once a haven, has now turned into a stage for an unending horror show. Their lives, once filled with joy and laughter, are now overshadowed by fear and apprehension. Every ring of the phone is a reminder of their helplessness, every threat a testament to their vulnerability. The once quiet suburb now echoes with whispers of fear, and the family finds themselves trapped in a nightmare that refuses to end. The silence of the night, it seems, holds more terror than peace. The third tale takes us to the heart of a bustling city, where even amidst the noise, a sinister call finds its mark. In the pulsing heart of the city, where skyscrapers reach for the heavens and traffic blares its relentless symphony, our next story finds its stage. The protagonist, a city dweller accustomed to the urban cacophony, found an eerie chill in the silence of a no-caller ID call. At first, the calls seemed nothing more than a harmless nuisance, an anonymous voice forecasting the mundane. "It will rain tomorrow," the voice would say, and sure enough, the city would wake up to the patter of raindrops. "Your favorite cafe will introduce a new dessert," it predicted, and lo and behold, a sweet surprise awaited our city dweller the very next day. As the predictions turned from trivial to significant, a creeping dread began to seep into the city dweller's life. The calls became more frequent, the voice more insistent, its predictions darker, more ominous. "A fire will break out in your building," it warned, and before the night was over, the wailing of fire engines echoed through the city streets. The climax struck when the voice delivered its most horrifying prediction. "You will be next," it whispered, a chilling promise that left our city dweller trapped in a nightmare that was all too real. The city, once a sanctuary of life and activity, now felt like a sprawling labyrinth of shadows, each corner hiding unseen terrors. The story serves as a chilling reminder of how the unknown can infiltrate our lives, even in the midst of a bustling metropolis. It shows how a simple, no-caller ID call can transform our perception of reality, turning everyday occurrences into ominous omens and casting long shadows over the familiar. It's a tale that underscores the disturbing power of the unknown, the fear that comes when we realize that we're not alone, that someone or something is watching, waiting, and knows more than we could ever imagine. Sometimes the unknown might just know too much. Our fourth tale begins with a young woman, a mysterious caller, and a terrifying revelation. The dark symphony of the night was interrupted by the shrill ring of a phone. A young woman, alone in her apartment, found herself caught in the web of an unseen terror. The screen of her phone lit up, displaying the words, "No caller ID." With a sense of unease, she answered, only to be greeted by an eerily familiar voice. The voice was hollow, as if echoing from the abyss of forgotten memories. It spoke with a chilling certainty, recounting tales of her past that only she knew. Every secret she had hidden away, every fear she had buried deep within, came rushing back to the surface. The voice seemed to know her, to understand her like a phantom from the past. As the nights rolled on, the calls became a terrifying routine. The voice would call, whispering her secrets, echoing her fears, but the woman was not one to be easily scared. She was determined to uncover the identity of the caller. She began to dig, to question, to challenge the voice on the other end of the line. Her quest for answers led her down a path she never anticipated. The truth was not a stranger on the other end of the line, but a reflection of her own self. The calls were coming from her own number, her own voice echoing back at her. The voice held a mirror to her soul, revealing the secrets she had tried so hard to forget. The revelation sent shivers down her spine. The terror was not from an external source, but from within. It was a haunting reminder that sometimes our deepest fears and darkest secrets are the ones we keep from ourselves. The line between the known and the unknown is indeed very thin. Our final tale is perhaps the most unnerving, a call that blurs the line between reality and the supernatural. Once upon a midnight dreary, our protagonist, let's call him John, was roused from his sleep by the shrill ring of his phone. An unknown number flashed on the screen. With a groan, John picked up the call, only to be met with a silence that was somehow louder than any sound. After a few seconds, a voice echoed through the line, a voice that sent a shiver down John's spine. It was his own voice, a perfect replica of his tone, his accent, even his stammer, but the words it spoke were not his own. It was a warning. "Beware," the voice said. "You're not alone." John's heart pounded in his chest, his mind raced. Was this a prank, or was he losing his mind? He looked around his room, his eyes straining in the darkness. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but the voice on the line insisted, "You're in danger, get out." The call ended abruptly, leaving John in a state of shock and fear. His own voice warning him of an imminent danger. It was surreal, terrifying. He didn't know what to do, where to go. He was trapped in his own home, a prisoner to an unseen terror. As the clock ticked on, the fear grew. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind seemed to carry an ominous message. He spent the rest of the night in a state of high alert, his eyes darting to every corner of the room, his ears tuned to every sound, real or imagined. And then, just as the first light of dawn began to creep in, there was another sound, a knock on the door. John froze. The knock came again, louder this time, more insistent. He approached the door, his heart pounding in his chest, his hand reaching for the doorknob. But what happened next? We'll never know. The story ends here, leaving us on the edge, our minds filled with 1,000 possibilities. In the end, are we just a call away from our worst nightmares? 5 tales, 5 calls, and countless shivers down our spine, each story a chilling reminder of the unknown and the fear that it can instill in us. First, we had the tale of a late-night caller, their voice veiled in darkness and their intent shrouded in mystery. The sound of an old song playing in the background, one that shouldn't have been known to anyone but the receiver of the call. The uncanny familiarity of the tune was enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. Then came the second call, a voice from the past, reaching out from the abyss of time. The voice of a long-lost friend, who had left this world too soon, returning to haunt the living. It was a chilling reminder of our past and the ghosts that linger there. The third tale was of a call that seemed to come from inside the house. A voice that was at once familiar and strange. A voice that claimed to be the receiver's own. The echo of one's own words returning in a distorted, eerie voice can be a harrowing experience. The fourth story took us to the realm of the supernatural, with a call that seemed to come from the beyond. A spectral voice, speaking in riddles and prophecies, foretelling a grim future. The fear of the unknown coupled with the dread of a foretold doom can be a potent mix of horror. And finally, the fifth tale was of a call that played on our deepest fears. A voice that knew too much, that could see too much. A voice that threatened to expose our darkest secrets. The fear of being observed, of being known, can be the most terrifying of all. Each tale, each call was a unique exploration of the fear and uncertainty that unknown callers can inspire. Yet, they all share a common thread: the terror of the unknown, the dread of what lies beyond our comprehension. So which story sent the most shivers down your spine? Was it the haunting melody from the first call, the voice from the past in the second, the eerie echo of your own voice in the third, the prophetic words from the beyond in the fourth, or the threatening voice that knew too much in the last? Each tale has its own unique brand of horror, its own way of making your heart pound and your palms sweat. Remember, the next time your phone rings with a no-caller ID, think twice before you answer. You never know who or what might be on the other end of the line. Good night and pleasant dreams.